Uh, Good morning.
Good morning, Annalie. Great
Good
to
morning,
see
everyone.
you. It's been yeah. So this is Annalie Wunane. He is one of the great architects in New York City. He has done some fantastic work in New York City area. He, Annalie, if you want to take it from there and just introduce yourself a little bit to Rolando and Alonso.
Sure. Yeah, it's a pleasure seeing everyone. It's been a couple of years since we were last in Ghana, Wale. Yeah, my name is Analeo One Day. I have an architecture firm downtown Brooklyn, New York City. We do affordable housing and a lot of private brownstones, townhouses, and some restaurants and stuff too. Yeah, this is I think March makes year 14 now. So we've been at it for a little while.
Nice to meet you, Annalie.
All right.
Terrific. System. Well, thank you very much for introducing yourself. Let me just say a little bit more about Annalie. I think the initiative started about, I don't know, maybe 12, 13 years ago when we met and we talked about the prospect of establishing something like this. It wasn't full-fledged as we have it today, but then we wanted to put it in Zimbabwe. And we worked really hard at that, but the political situation in Zimbabwe did not allow that project to go forward. But Annalie has been with the project for such a long time, and he's an extremely talented architect. You'll see some of his work when he's able to show it to us. So, Annalie, you've seen the work of. Also, let me acknowledge Abayami. Ayobami. Abayami, welcome and thank you for being here. You already have met Rolando and Alonso, so we don't need a reintroduction there. And you also already know Annalie as well because you've communicated for a few years now. So, Annalie, you've seen the drawings of Alonso and Rolando. And so this is the direction that we've decided to go into. I think that I shared the previous video that we did, not the second one, but the first one that we did, I did share that one with the group just so they got to know Rolando and Alonso. You've seen some of their work. I guess they'll be talking more about it today. I'm very excited about this prospect. I had a very long meeting yesterday with some people who, again, supported this direction and think that that's a really good direction for us. I'm also talking to people who can help us in the energy sector. I don't know what plan you guys have for that, but I think we might have some viable partners to provide internet and energy for our system. We'll be having meetings with them, but I wanted us just to start with the architects for now. So yeah, so let's start from there. Rolando, I think you said you have a plan for us to look at today, so to talk about, etc. So why don't we go directly to that? Thank you.
You're on mute.
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, nice to meet you too, Annalie and Ayobami. It's gonna be great if we can establish some work together in the near future. In a meeting like this is very difficult to talk about those things because we are architects and we need visuals, we need plans, we need ideas, sketches, concepts, diagrams, and so. But I hope we can establish later on a procedure on how can we unite efforts to make this project real. In our previous meeting, we presented to Wally like a general strategy to approach the project. I'm gonna make like a small summary so that we can touch like the main elements that we commented, and also some additional ideas we have so that we can approach the investors to obtain the resources we need to move this project at this very stage of it. So I'm gonna share like the previous presentation if you want me, Wally. Okay.
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Let me know when you see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
see it.
Yes, I can see it. Yeah.
So
All right.
in the presentation we were creating like some additional ideas, initial ideas of how the same language we created in the previous concepts that we're going to use for this project, we can use them in a larger scale for certain buildings of the project. In this case, we were thinking about the auditorium or some main access areas of the parks or similar, just using the textures, the colors of the earth, nature, the type of flooring. So it's a very interactive language that we are able to create and to use and to implement. Obviously, we have to combine this with functionality, um, yeah, as I mentioned before, diagrams, relationship between spaces, hierarchies, what is more important, what we want the people to see first, and how they're going to move through the space. The use of water, as Wally mentioned, that is very important. Has to be included in the language of the project. So there are many variables that we have to reflect somehow, especially at the very beginning to the investors, so that they can have an idea, a general idea of what is going to be look like. It doesn't have to be like a final version uh, of of the project because we are not at that point right now, but it has to give them like an overall idea of all the spaces and how we're going to treat them, how they're going to look. Are they going to give something special, different from other institutes, from other parks? So there's a lot of work to do. This, as I mentioned to Wally, this is not just one project. It's like many projects inside one big concept, which is the ARK. So we got like the institute, we got the parks, we got the hotels. They are completely different projects because the level of knowledge and difficulty and challenge that each of them has is very specific. So for example, in other countries, just one of those areas is a complete project. So there's a lot of work. It's going to take time, but I think it's worth it. The document Wally showed us at the beginning is very complete in that aspect in terms of what they are looking for, what we need to reflect the culture of the continent, not just of one country. So we're gonna need a lot of exploration. Well, here's like a little bio just to have a reference. But we extracted these two main concept that Wally explained that has to be like the guideline concept of what we're gonna show. So everything outside of this is not part of the project because it's going to be against the overall concept. And this is more philosophical than architecture, but it's like the background for the architectural decisions we're going to make in the future. I don't know if Alonso would like to develop in this area. So do you want me to keep going. So as Wally gave us like a metaphor of the these flowers, the epiphytic, which make the plants better instead of taking out of them. So so that's what the project has to be. It has to provide uh, new like fresh blood of good things, of good feelings, of good spatial experiences, of well-being, of a more optimistic and positive future for Africa. So so the language, everything we're going to use has to reflect that somehow. It has to give something of value to the people. Then we make like a revision of the general areas. We added some or modified some of the ones were structured before. This is like a general program, but it has to be changed in the process, because we're gonna understand that there are additional necessities that have not been discovered right now. Maybe between any of these spaces need additional infrastructure or room for machines or storage and many other things that have to be included during the process, because these are very wide areas in terms of specifications and requirements to design. And generally in speaking, in terms of the project, which I believe is like a second stage before the proposal for the investors, we have to, as in any other architectural project, create the concept drawings, the sketches, the diagrams, the mood boards, because none of that material has been created. So it's going to be like a pre-exploration stage in the second stage, but it's going to take some time, because we have to combine many different cultures that are in Africa, for example, and we have to blend them in a way that they look harmonic. So that's a very deep process. We have to go into the roots of the cultural and artistic and architectonical expression of many of the countries, and then we have to select which ones we're going to combine, because there are so much that if we combine them all, it's not going to give us like a sense of a complete concept. It's going to look like just like a summary of expressions, and we don't want that to happen, because that is going to weak the identity of the project. So I believe this first stage in terms of pre-design are going to be very important. And then we have to work in the schematics, the renderings, animations. Then what we need as architects also the design floor plans, facades, um, general dimensions, organizations, how the pedestrians are going to move through the space internally and externally, the surrounding of the projects, meaning the urban furniture we're going to have on it. So there's a lot of stuff, and these are different levels of design, each of them with different complexity and different relevance. So we're gonna need a lot of people in terms of distributing the work, who is gonna emphasize one of these areas, because we can create like a general concept, but then we need people emphasizing, for example, in the design of the garden. So we need someone specializing in plants, in botanics, someone we're going to give the guidelines in terms of furniture, but we need someone to specify the materials, scale, dimensions, plans of those furniture. So this is a very huge project, and it's going to have very different layers of creation and exploration and documentation also. And as I mentioned before, we have also additional presentation materials, virtual walkthroughs that are going to make the project stronger in terms of selling possibilities. Then we have to calculate general budgets, but then the adjustment during the process, because this is going to change while we add or give back some things or eliminate some things that are not needed in the process. And then we have to calendarize and put a schedule on how this is going to be produced, how much time we're going to invest, how many resources we're going to invest, and how many people is going to be involved in those uh, processes during time. And then we establish making some analytics of economy in Ghana and also in other locations. We established just for the institute, which I believe and we do believe is the core of the project, because without it, the other areas have no sense and no unity. Just the institute is $30 million, the general budget. It's approximate estimated number. So this has to be reanalyzed and go deeper into additional analysis and data and resources comparison to understand the overall price of the project of the institute, and also then we have to calculate the price of the whole project. So we are talking about a very big budget in terms of what we need. And if this project is going to represent Africa, we need that types of projects, because a simple project won't have the impact and the relevance and during the time and in the future. So we are talking about a very important not only for Africa but for humanity project. Um, and that is like the general approach we have right now in terms of the project, in just the institute, as I mentioned, because the ARC is a much bigger combination of projects, and um, and that's basically like the first approach we have. I know there are a lot of additional data we have to analyze and compare and combine also between all of us and the other people that are going to join us in the process, in the journey. But that is like the general approach of the project. Also, we calculated some architectural fees based on also on Ghana and analysis of fees for architecture. And there are different ways we can approach that in terms of um, different like different terms. And we are analyzing other options, as we talked with Wally the last meeting, that we can approach this differently. So we are not worried about that at this moment. We are more focused on what we can do, how we're going to proceed, and how we can formalize this process in a way that all of us feel comfortable and feel a part of the process. So we also started exploring this is like some interiors, because that's another area. So this is so complex in terms of the detail we can create, because we can have very nice exteriors, but interiors have to reflect the same thing. So um, there are a lot of things to do. There are a lot of we have to have interior designers also for the stage of the interior, the furniture, the scale, the illumination, the flooring, and we have to analyze lights, how the sun is going to affect the project, and that is going to affect the facades, but also the ventilation systems, natural and artificial systems. So there's a lot of stuff to do, uh, and this is like the summary. This last time we spent like 2 hours in this explanation, because there are so many things to talk about that there's not enough time in a single meeting, but that's what we wanted to share with all of you. And we are very grateful in terms of hearing your perspectives on the project and your own views and what you can bring to the table in terms of what we can recreate together like as a team. So maybe Wally would like to make some considerations on this. And
Yeah, thank you so very much, Alonso.
Hello?
Rolando, thank you very much.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Asari,
Hello?
welcome. How are you?
We can hear
Yes,
you.
we
We
can.
can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Speak.
Hello?
Yes, Larry, we can hear you. All right, I think Larry is having some kind of challenges.
Hello,
Let's see.
Wale, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you and I can see you, and I'm so happy to see you.
Yes.
Yes, it's so exciting to see you. I'm very happy to introduce you to Rolando and Alonso. And we've spoken a whole lot about you, and you have probably gotten a glimpse of their work, and you saw, you may have caught some of the presentation that Rolando just made. So it's good to hear your opinion and to talk about the work that you've done and see how we can build up upon these layers on it. So yeah, grateful for you to be. Also, of course, we'll need to hear from Anale and Biomi and Mr. Asari. So you saw what Alonso presented. So I think it's important to talk about your opinions on that. But since you have all met Rolando already, Anale just got introduced, but Greg has now been introduced. So Greg, if you have a moment, just please tell us about first of all how you're doing and a little bit of who you are, which will take a book to explain. But just please introduce yourself quickly and then connect. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Wale, and hello, everybody. I'm not sure I can see everybody who's on the call, but I know many of you, and Anale, I can see you. Good to see you. I don't know whether Nana is on the call, but if you are, I miss you. Anyway, and unfortunately, you know, I apologize to everyone. I've been absent recently for a bunch of reasons. And at the moment, I'm actually on a road trip for some family business that means I have to leave in about 10 minutes. And I also didn't see most of the earlier part of this presentation. So I'm sorry, I'm really coming at this a little bit unprepared. But, you know, I'm an architect who has had a practice based in Brooklyn for almost 40 years. Over the entire period, it has been driven by an interest in sustainability and high performance buildings and how quality architecture can derive from those principles. And I've known Wale for quite a few years, and I was privileged to attend the amazing site visit that we had in Ghana just before the pandemic hit. And that was an amazing experience. Nana Otu was an incredible host, as was Wale, and you know, and an amazing team. So all of that I remain very grateful for. And again, since I have to leave in just a few minutes, I really apologize at not being able to discuss with much specificity what you guys are talking about right now. But let me just say one thing. In terms of the scope, the way I have seen my scope in this project at this stage, because it's really a large and very ambitious and very important project that really, I think, needs to be planned on a generational scale, not just one generation, 2, 3 generations, in a part of the world that is going to experience enormous effects of climate change, and that is going to become essentially uninhabitable for significant parts of the year in the coming decades. And so the way I have treated my involvement so far is really as on a master planning level as a first step, you know, sort of to help establish what the program is, how much of that amazing site we really need to achieve the program goals that have been articulated by African Views and all the other partners. And then from there to really try to understand how one will create an effective, workable, beautiful, joyful environment that will be that way 30 years from now, 60 years from now, 90 years from now. And so actually, the original kind of master planning work that we did to support this back in 2000 was very schematic that way. And we created some images because there is always this understandable pressure to have beautiful, exciting renderings to show people in order to move the project along and fundraise and that kind of thing. But we were really looking at that from this kind of environmentally performance-based notion about how one could accomplish these things in a way that is effective and sustainable and that sort of thing. So everything we've done so far, I would say, has been extremely diagrammatic. And moving forward, I assume our role really as kind of master planner would be to oversee sort of master planning with a particular emphasis on the environmental sustainability aspects. And I really think that in terms of Africa and its future in these coming generations, when it is going to face these enormous environmental issues, as is much of the rest of the world, only in many cases worse than much of the rest of the world, that Africa's population growth is going to exceed the rest of the world. It will have a larger young population than the rest of the world. It will be the part of the world where by far the most square meters of buildings will have to be built. So I think that this is an opportunity to try to go beyond current practice and create a kind of a language of technically, culturally, architecturally, that is really future-based, rooted in the past, rooted in cultural traditions in the existing environments, but that really looks toward the future and goes beyond what is being done elsewhere in the world. So, all of that is a very ambitious program, and it's something that I am very excited about. And actually, since this initial visit in 2000, I have launched a kind of research project in parallel with this planning and architectural one to try to understand what options we have, particularly to make the outdoor environment bearable, healthier, more comfortable, and so on than it would otherwise be, so that we are not restricted to spending our lives indoors, inside apartments, houses, shopping malls, cars, that kind of thing. So I've actually made a fair amount of progress in that direction, and excited to share those findings with you all later. But at the same time, of course, there is the pressure to produce exciting images for fundraising and so on. And it's a challenge, but it's one that I'm happy to be involved in. And yeah, so again, I think I should conclude for now, since I have to leave in a few minutes. Again, apologies that I've been absent from these recent meetings, but I think we can work out a schedule going forward where I can actually contribute. So again, thank you all, Nana, everyone else, Wale.
Excellent. Thank you so very much, Greg. Thank you very, very much. I think that it would be good to have direct contact with Rolando and Alonso. So I'm going to facilitate that, if you don't mind, so that you guys can have free communication. We also created a separate WhatsApp group just to have the focus group on that particular WhatsApp group. So I wanted to inform you that. I wanted to inform you about it. So it would be good if Alonso and Rolando just quickly say hello to you, so you guys can have some familiarity initiated.
How you doing, Mr. Gregory? Pleasure to meet you.
Likewise. Yeah, and sorry, I came in at the tail end of the presentation, so it looked beautiful for the bit of it that I saw.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I will share the video, Greg. I will share the video. Regards to the family. So feel free to disembark when you want. I will share the videos with you, and I'll so you can be updated on all the developments.
Yes, Wally,
Great.
I'm back in New York as of Monday, and my availability should be reasonably good after that. So I'd suggest if you'd like to arrange, maybe you could arrange a meeting between me and whoever else you think is important at this stage, and for sometime this week or the week following. As I say, I should be reasonably available.
Terrific. I'll sort that out with you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right. Thanks
Thank
to
you.
all again. Apologies for my early exit. The best to you, Nana, as well.
Absolutely. Then I will know. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. So, Annalee, you have heard everything, and given the importance of you as well and your vision, it would be good to hear what you have to say and what you think about the whole concept. How far?
Yeah. Rolo, thank you for the presentation. Is it Rolo or Rolando?
Rolando is like the nickname to
It's
more
Rolando.
informal.
It's the artistic name.
Sort of.
No problem. Yeah, I like the start that you have here. I think in the past we've kind of just been looking at this as just just kind of with like site analysis and kind of just moving massing models here and there on the site. Um, which I guess, kind of works a little bit, but I think that this project is so big and there's so much to it that I think, I like how you dived into it to just start to develop a type of typology, before we even start getting caught up with spatial programming for how we're going to organize the site. So in that aspect, I would definitely love to be a part in, in in coming like in developing, whatever it is that this typology will be, that we'll then use across the entire site. And like I love the start that you have, of course I have like many other different ideas as well too. I'm Nigerian, and so yeah, so from West Africa to East Africa, there's a whole lot of different things that that we could find that's exciting and might make sense, might not make sense. And I think that type of exploration would be great and would be easy to kind of create, sexy images that you can start to use without trying to, get into the minutia of, you know, where's the egress and where's the, and so I kind of see that approach that you're taking. I like that. I was wondering, like with your workflow, are you using Midjourney to create these images, or like what AI workflow are you using?
Well, I'm using a combination. I'm using also 3D modeling combined with AI. I'm using Leonardo. I am also using Runway, Pika Labs. There's like a whole combination because
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd be interested to like know your workflow too. I mean, ours is pretty simple where, we pretty much start massings out in 3D Studio Max, and we render with V-Ray. We might move to Revit and use Veris for AI, but at this point, we could easily just do schematic stuff and not worry about CAD or Revit for a whole year, and just just get into like sexy typologies and just put together the language of what this will be. Yeah, I'd love to work on that with you, in that conceptual schematics phase. And then, once we figure that out, then it's just like, okay, here are the 6 main buildings, and they have to be X amount, this size. And then, then you can start making things real. But I think the problems that we've had in the past were trying to make it real too quick. So I kind of like this approach, to just kind of just get our feet wet. So
Yeah, I fully understand. As you mentioned before, we have to include the influences from Nigeria and many other countries because there's a lot of very interesting languages and architectural and artistic expressions we have not included. So
sure,
so
sure, yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of things to do and as you mentioned before, yeah, there's a process. We cannot go. We don't need to go slower, but if we go too fast, we're gonna miss many important things
Mhm.
that at the end of the project are gonna have a repercussion, different types of repercussions. So we should avoid that in terms of the creation process and how we're gonna combine efforts together.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're gonna combine all technologies. I've been working on 3D Max and V-Ray also using it
Mhm.
for the last 20 years. So there's a common language also we already have.
Yeah.
Then eventually the data is going to need to be translated to Revit and many other platforms. So we're going to take advantage of all the actual processes,
Mhm.
and when something is out of our hands, we have to reach out for additional people to focus on that spot. So I fully agree with your perspective in terms of the approach of the project.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the time that you've put together, already. 'Cause I think this gives us a nice starting point.
You're welcome.
Terrific. That's exactly what I felt.
The idea was
Go ahead.
to inspire people. That was very important at the beginning. Go
Mhm.
ahead, Wally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think we got the direction, and I think that's very good direction as you describe it, the language that we want to speak with this architecture. So, and I think that is everybody's agreement on it. So, I don't know how you want to arrange it. I think, Rolo, if you focus on the institute, and based on this language, maybe Anale, who is, and of course, I don't know how you want to do it. I'm just suggesting, please don't take my word for it. But I'm thinking maybe we can have some people do some areas of the residential, have some people do some areas of the corporate section, some people do some area of the amusement,
I
heritage
think
park.
not to cut you off, Wale. I think this goes back to what I was trying to establish with Rolando. We're not there yet.
Okay. We're not there yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. When are we going to be there?
We're not
I
there.
don't know how. So yeah, I know, but it's good to have it, to have it in focus and in view, and so we can time as to when we get there, because the idea is that we are able to bring the package together by the end of the year. And when I say the package, it's not just the drawing, the renditions, all of those things, but also the feasibility studies of the economic analysis as well. That means we're going to have a cost basis, and then we're going to have a financial analysis, and we're going to have some kind of idea of yields. So all of those calculations are very, very important, and then we're going to have a timeline. So that's necessary for us to really kickstart this project. My instinct tells me we need to at least latest start fundraising by January next year. This we have to set up, and we have to set all of that up also before the end of this year. this roadshow starts here. We have a list of prospects and leads to reach out to. We've been collecting leads, and we do have a great deal of interest. But again, we have to make these presentations to them, and we have to get their commitment. Also, there's a lot of financial structure that has to go into this. As you would imagine, we also need to convince the banks to be a guarantor in this process, because my idea is that we don't want to wait till we raise the money fully before we actually start the development. I think that with a guarantor and an escrow in place, we're able to start the project based on some kind of financial agreement. So there's a lot of structures that goes into this. So I would like us to really be optimistic for the most part. Like I said, I don't know how you want to do it, but again, you guys have to figure that out. But the Rolando's vision is very clear to me, and since you heard his presentation, I think he understands the project really from heart. And once you get to know him and his background, I think you'll also understand it. So I'm very excited that we're able to work together as architects. You have to figure out how to work together on this. We also have Larry, who is in Ghana. I don't know if you got to meet Larry when we were in Ghana, but Larry is one of the top architects in Ghana. He built the Marriott Hotel, among other buildings and other projects that he has done in Ghana. Marriott Hotel is one of the top, I don't know, 4 or 5 stars hotel in Ghana, and I've been there, and it's a remarkable edifice. So he's here, and he's very committed to this project as well. So we have to figure out exactly how to. So I think, I mean, if you ask me, again, I'm no expert in this, you guys are, but I think that if we follow this language that's created by Rolando, and we focus on the part that we feel strongly about, right? And I think all parts pretty much have equal significance, whether it's residential, whether it's corporate, whether it's the designs of the institutions for science center, museums, and all of those things that are structures that, at least, because these are the things that we're going to have to give to people to say, okay, we can see this. If we look at the corporate area, we need, designs for banks, we need designs for maybe hospitals, and all of those things that we could possibly put in there to make a city, that which constitute a city. And imagine the concept that we're going to be selling is, we want to go to investors specifically for hospitals to invest in that particular structure. And then the same thing goes for the bank. So we have a very versatile approach. And I think, this is good stuff. So not only are we getting investors, we're also getting operators who are going to partner in order to manage that structure. And that's something that's also going to enhance the potential of our offerings, right? And to drive subscriptions to the whole schematics. So that's the concept. And once you see this, I think time is the only challenge that we have. But again, you know your strength, you know your experience. I'm very excited about your talent. So again, with this language, I think we can make it happen. So we just have to figure out exactly, like you said, all this research that needs to be done. Let's do it. We also have, I don't know if architects are the ones that are going to do this research, or if it's going to be artists. Whatever the case may be, let's begin to draw it out and see what department, what area we need help, and let's go out and get this help that we need. That's what I would say. Thank you.
Yeah, I think
Any
that
comments?
I think that if we can start working with Rolando's team to kind of put together a Gantt chart of basically what the milestones are for this project are and expectations are, and that's something that can easily take another 2-3 weeks to put together, to wrap our heads around it. As an architect, as a designer, I'm not going to, I do not get too involved with the underwriting of a project, so while I understand that the money is needed to make this happen, that's like a whole nother thing that, you know, can be a whole other 20-man team that has to go about figuring out that aspect of it, while there's another dozen, 15 of us figuring out what it looks like, you know. And I don't want to confuse the two and get them and start, you know, having the design team start worrying about what the conference room looks like when we're like no, we're like, we're not worried about conference rooms or residential dormitories right now. I think that there's I think Rolando's on an excellent path to how this begins, and I think I'm pretty much in tune with what that is in terms of how we will manage our aspect of it. But yeah, there definitely needs to be some project management aspect to the other side that's going to underwrite this deal. And they need to figure out the structure of that, and then at what points they key back into the work that we're doing.
Well noted, well noted. That's exactly what we'll do. I think that makes a lot of sense. So that's what we'll do. We'll find the right appropriate party for that. But again, someone that can capture who's doing what and what. So I think we should be able to have that. Again, we have very experienced people on board, especially those who have experience in working in Ghana as well. And I think Mr. Asari really covers that angle for us. Larry, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Good afternoon.
Right, good afternoon. I was having problems with the internet.
Yeah, me too, actually, because I'm on the road. But we're very happy to have you. You have already met Alonso and Rolando. I think probably it's the first time that you are meeting. You've also met Abayomi, but I think it's the first time you're meeting Annalie and Greg. Wanose is not able to make it. Wanose's expertise is in parks and parks and things like that. So he's not able to make this meeting today. But I want you to speak to what Annalie said, and I don't know how much of Rolando's presentation that you actually caught, but it'd be good to get your reflection on that, what Annalie said, because I think you understand it much better than I do, as to project management, department and someone that coordinates everything. I don't really know how that's going to work. I thought maybe that's something that you guys will have to figure out. But if it's a role that I can play, I'm very happy to play it. If it's something that we require different expertise on, we'll just go out and find that. But you have to tell me what we need, and I'll do my best to procure it. So based on what Annalie said, I think you heard him. Let's hear your reflection on that, please. Thank you.
Right. I didn't hear too much because I was also on the road and it was difficult to get on. But I know that he was talking about us being able to, have some rules spelled out. Okay. And for me, what I think I would do now, or what I think, yes, should be my contribution now. That's not my only contribution, but for now, will be mainly to do, to look into the kind of materials and so on that we would need for the sustainability. Materials that we can also, procure here, natural materials mainly. And then also maybe if there's anything cultural that I can, emphasize, I would. And then aside of that also, so basically these are the things that I would like to start with if you are all in agreement, to try to deepen the perspective, bring these things on on board. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, and that sounds fantastic, actually. Yeah, that's complete. Yeah. Yeah, that
So,
sounds
I mean,
great, Larry.
yeah, it's quite wide, but I mean, I've just tried to say it in very brief terms, to start with that, and then we see how we expand based on what I'm able to bring.
Terrific. Is everybody able to join the new WhatsApp group? Is the WhatsApp group okay? I know that Abayomi is there. I know that NLA hasn't gotten the link yet, and Greg either. But I haven't seen Alonso, and I haven't seen you too, Mr. Asari. Okay, I'm going to have to resend the link to you because I think it expires every third day or something, and it's been quite a while. So I'm going to resend the link to you and to everyone else to join this group so that you can have this conversation amongst yourselves. Again, I think you have to really figure out how to do this together. And based on Rolando's drawing, I think he has an idea of what kind of material is best. You can certainly discuss with each other what type of material is probable for this type of things. You know this work. So I think, you will have to decide when you want to talk. Greg wants to meet again sometimes this week. I hope we can find time to do that. But I think it's important to really get to kickstart this so that everybody is doing something that we can all bring together and make sure it's in order. And based on what Anna is saying, that the design of certain structures that should be like a scalable concept, we might not need to focus on that at this point. I don't disagree with that completely. And also the fact that we need somebody who's going to coordinate all of this. But I think maybe that, if you need someone who's going to just liaise between all of you, of course, I can play that role, or maybe find somebody who, again, we think is competent and particular in that competence to play that role. However, I also think that you know how to work together. Like you mentioned, Larry, this workshop idea that you mentioned, I think is really brilliant. This workshop could solve that problem as well. But again, if we need additional talent for a particular structure, of course, we will look for it. However, I really I agree with the workshop, and I'm sure just like Rolando and Alonso also agree with the workshop. So we just got to bring Anna to the speed about the workshop that you're going to be meeting and talking about, the advancement you've made and which direction things are going, things like that. And one thing that Rolando mentioned that I agree with completely is that we need to keep to the language of the architecture in order to keep things consistent. And I honestly believe in my heart that if we're able to do that, we'll really be successful. We would have been successful in creating a very unique identity for African architecture, especially a modern identity. And I think that's probably what we should be going for. Plus, what we're doing is so meaningful and everything comes together under this concept. So I completely agree. So let's move forward with that. As you know, Greg's interest is in making sure that everything we do is sustainable over the years. And I'm sure that you'll all find some middle ground as to what we need to do. But for me, for the interest of the investors, like we said, we may not need to go into details of what needs to, the real schematics of the whole structure, details, but just be able to show certain things, right? That we can say this is that, and this is that, and this is that, and this will cost this much, and this will cost that much, and that's why this cost is this. And with this, we can get this amount of money and make that amount of money and make that amount of money, and for this particular purpose. I think those are the type of things that investors want to hear. We need to be able to do this presentation for them, and I think that the rendering of that is very, very important. So whichever way we want to focus on that, whichever way we want to arrive at that, I think it's very, very important. It is probably better, I think, if we're able to create some kind of drawing that is agreeable, that is going to be the absolute direction that we want to take, so that we can begin to focus on the engineering and development of the entire project, right? So don't forget, we'll be bringing in developers, and we'll be bringing also business analytics that's going to guide us as to the cost and yield of all our proposals. So that's what I would say. But I would like also to hear from Abayomi. He's always very insightful, and he's like a silent observer, but he's the one that makes things happen. So Abayomi, please, what's your opinion on all of this?
Okay, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, like you said, so I really love your loan presentation, right? And one of my own interests in architecture since the first that I started, or let me started practicing, has always been I've always been interested in the architectural ability, right, to produce culture, to the engagement between space and society, right? And do you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying that right from the beginning, as a practice architect, I've always been interested in terms of architectural ability, right, to produce culture, to the engagement between space and society. And going to Alonso work, it also spurred my interest in terms of the way I'm intrigued concerning what they call it, the implementation of art, right, in the world of architecture, and then exploring and creating new modes of representation and of the built environment, right? And I remember when we started initially, we joked around. I think that should be Alonso asking and Dr. Wale that how was the weather over there and stuff like that, and he was like, oh, the climate change is real, right? And I'm happy with the fact that he also put it in his presentation about the areas of the preliminary design proposal, the typology of the building, right? And of course, we all know that climate change is the big deal now, and also the whole architectural program and development. And I remember one of the things that made me to send that should be rolling work to Dr. Wale in our group then. It was because I could see the what we are trying to build, right? And I'm big on identity, right? Identity is unique, and like I usually say, every building should communicate and speak their own language, right? And that's one of the reasons why that actually made me to send that design. And then from this presentation, I can see that identity we've been looking for, right? And then right from the day one, some of the things were in Ghana, I actually supposed to be in Ghana today, but something happened, right? And I'm happy that the journey of 1,000 miles has started, right? And one thing about innovation is that it can be improved upon. We've gotten something, we have something now that we can see that in one way or other try to portray what we envision. And the bigger scope of the whole work, we can also break it into tiny deliverables so that we can scale faster even from the smaller approach. And I also remember Dr. Wali talking about the whole synchronization between we, the architect, in terms of constantly creating uniform and unique architectural identity across all the design. Despite the fact that some people might be working on the corporate aspects, the room aspect and different aspect of the design, right? And I think that is one of the role I would like to play as a project architect, right? Trying to synchronize that design element across board, because I can't say I understand what you're trying to build. I understand the unique identity we are trying to portray. I understand and the values of this project, even beyond just the architectural aspect of it, because oftentimes I define design as business goals plus users need, right? So the concept also has business goals in mind, and as an architect also we also need to put that into consideration. So yeah, that's my few words. So I think we've already hit the nail on the head. So we just need to continue in this might and then hit the ground running. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abayam. Thank you very, very much. And there we have it. So what we're looking for, somebody who's going to coordinate, the work and synchronize it. I think he has just opted to volunteer for that aspect. So I think we should consider that. So things I think are progressing, and I hear Annalise, knowing him, quite a visionary that he is. Yes, of course, and he agrees with this language, but he's also talking about maybe there are ways to even improve it, right? So if we begin to put this mudcloth type of designs that Rolando brought to bear, and then we begin to look at the Ndebele culture, for instance, right? If we look at the Ndebele culture, the cultures of the colors and so on, one of the things that Rolando did that really blows my mind, and I'll be honest with that, is the way that he has been able to bring all these multicolors also into the brownish mud kind of situation, the mud fabric, the mud color, the mud system of red bricks in Africa, and be able to merge colors with it, and yet still be. I think it's really fantastic. And I want us to really look further into that. And I agree. I'm sure, and I'm sure that even Rolando is open to how we can even make this better, because we are all about that, right? So. Again, all of this is really in our hands. Again, my job is to wait for what you are going to produce so that we can sell it. We can actually make it happen and then sell it, right? Or sell it even to make it happen, whatever the case may be. I just want to tell you, yesterday I had a meeting with some people who are very excited about this project. And what they were saying is that first, they're interested in bringing energy. If we need the energy, and I think the energy infrastructure probably needs to be considered into the structure. I don't know how you have to do it, but if you're willing to sit down with them, I'll be very glad to facilitate it. Now, the reason I'm very interested in this is first is because they're an American entity, but we have a Chinese counterpart who's also interested in this. What the Americans offer, they claim that is more sophisticated than the Chinese, right? I'm not saying that the Chinese is cheaper, because we have not assessed their prices, but I've seen their work. I think they can deliver. But they also, the Americans are saying that they also want to provide 5 to 6G internet capability. Now, 5 to 6G internet capability to our system, to our area, to the city itself, will be a very great value-added component. Also, a very highly marketable thing. So, but you guys are the ones that are going to decide on this. But you have to tell me when you're ready to have this meeting with them. At this moment, I'm signing an MOU with them, so we have some kind of understanding. Also, after that meeting, I had another meeting about people who are ready to bring us to investors, and they talked about operationality. They said, what are the chances of government intervention? What if we created all this and the government said, no, you're not doing it? I said, well, I don't think that's possible, because first of all, we are on private grounds. And then I think the government of Ghana, which is again one of the reasons that we chose Ghana, that I'm sure the government will be happy, even though we don't want them to bankroll the whole project, but rather to be vested in it in ways that we think is reasonable and allows for international investment as well, because that's really what we want. We want both strong international investment as well as very strong local private investment. So those are the very key things that I think will work. But I think the best person to advise us in this area would be Mr. Asare. What are the chances, Larry, if you don't mind, just advise us a little bit, because this question came to bear, even though I defended it, but it would be good to just validate it from your view that we wouldn't have, envy, jealousy, or whatever the case may be, or sabotage from the government side.
Well, I don't think that should be a problem. under normal circumstances, the government would or should embrace this wholeheartedly. You know, right now we have the AFTA, that's the Africa Free Trade Area, head
Agreement.
office in here, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes, in Ghana. And what is more to, we are promoting, trying to get the whole of Africa to more or less unite, okay? We've gone from the Organization of African Unity to the African Union. So basically, there should be and would be the government's interest in this thing, okay? I don't think they will be able to, or they would want to sabotage it in any way. I don't think so. I think they would open their arms wide to something like this, okay? Because it also enhances our profile here, if you see what I mean, as a nation, you know.
Absolutely.
And if you see our history of being the first independent nation south of the Sahara, and the people who were moving for African unity, I think it would be very dumb on the government's part to want to do anything to the contrary.
Thank you very much. So, you know, that's what I'm thinking as well. So I'm glad that you're able to validate that, because you have the experience, the actual experience, with all this type of projects, especially in Ghana, in Accra, or other parts of Ghana. So one thing, again, that we discussed is, even as we reach out to investors, this is something that's very dear to me, that even those people that we bring on board as investors or any part of to participate in this project, they must have real investment in the project itself, right? Not just for this monetary gain or whatever kind of fame, whatever, but really to be vested in the concept that there is very important respect for what we are doing, for what we're about to bring to life. I think really that would go a long way, and that's the kind of culture that I would want us to keep in mind. And that's so I'm very excited when Rolando resonated the idea of the epiphytes. Really, we want to make sure that this becomes the culture of all of us as we continue to work together. That what we're doing is not about ego. I want this to be there. I want that to be there. I want, this is my way. No, but really for the respect of what contribution based on what the outcome should be. And no one can take credibility from what we have, what we will put together by the grace of God, what will come to bear, right? So the drawing, of course, is a start. We still have to do the engineering, the building, raise the funds, and then operationalize it. So people are asking me all these questions about the operationalization in such a way that brings the yield that we expect, right? To fulfill, of course, the investors' interest, but also to fulfill our interest, right? Not only as stakeholders or shareholders or whatever, but also to see the effect of the work that we've done in the world, and to enjoy it as well, with based on what we've done. So I really I want to make sure that we prioritize that. We'll talk more about this in detail. So I'm really excited about this, and I can't thank you all enough for all this. So we'll make progress about what we've discussed today. Before I yield to Alonso, I think Alonso will have the last word on this, except anybody else has something else to say. But I think that we are.
Nana just logged in.
Oh, Nana. Oh, welcome, Nana. You latecomer, you. So, I think really we have a very exciting concept here. And Anale, I know that you see it. I know that it's in your heart. You've always been, you're like really the first at the table, if you remember. So I'm very glad that, stuck to this, I think that we will be able to discuss the various modalities of this and to be able to move forward with this. I'm sure that your vision as to what type of vocabularies we can speak with this language, that would be terrific to see. I'm sure there are lots of things that we can do. I don't know that because you guys are the artists. But don't forget, we also have the support of artists who we can commission to do any type of patterns, drawings, or designs, and so on and so forth. To be honest with you, I don't know exactly how we are going to be putting all these patterns that Rolando envisioned on the various facades, which I think that's just brilliant. But somehow we're going to be able to do it, right? And we're going to be able to do it in such a way that it doesn't just peel off over a period of time, or it doesn't fall off, or whatever it is, or if any kind of damage occurs, so that we can easily repair it, and so on and so forth. Because again, all of these things are things that I'm sure that you guys already considered. But as a layman, as I am, I have to just again be able to communicate these languages to investors and to convince other people that we might need. So. If you want to say something to that, go ahead, Anale, before we yield to Alonso. Thank you.
Yeah, no, just I'm just looking forward to exploring all these ideas. I think when thinking about like an African aesthetic, we're quick to envision all the symbols and the visual aspects of what we see as African, but then we can also also look at oh well, how does music and rhythm play into this, or how does mechanical connections and the way things come together, how do all of these things play into it? So you might not look at the building and say, oh, this reminds me of Africa, but then when you start to talk about how it came to be and the influences that were drawn from it, you're like, oh, okay, this is very African in how it was conceptualized, and I think that I want to be able to leave room for that to happen, and to leave room for us to have very contemporary looking structures next to indigenous looking structures and how they marry together. I think that's a very fun challenge to embark on that would, fulfill me in this project. So I'm looking forward to that.
Amazing. And, that is exactly, you said it so well, because the idea of bringing the parallelism of modernity and tradition, this is something that they've achieved in China. This is something that they have achieved in Japan. And I think to some degree, even in Arabia. And if we're able to achieve that in Africa, I think that would be fantastic. I really think that we're in the direction for that. I don't know where this is going to take us. I want us to really, breach our limits here, all of us. So I think we'll be able to put it all together, and there will be plenty of room for all those things. But I love the idea of that parallelism between modernity and tradition. That's exactly what's going to bespeak African, I think. Thank you, man. Thank you. Alonso.
Well, I'm always on the background, just hearing everyone around here. Glad to be in the second meeting for this. Nice to meet you, everyone around there. And well, I was thinking about what Anali says about the calendarization of activities and everything around there. There's something that I already, let's say, started doing the last week for this type of activities, because as well, I'm an architect, and I perform a lot of coordination on my projects. I'm a project manager, and I have to understand all the milestones. And once we performed the presentation, Orlando and I, last week, we performed sort of, calendarization of activities, programming for everything, to understand what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, if the time is going to be enough, and everything. And I can help around there just to share the calendar, the architectural team around here, and then we can start from that point to add, you know, let's move this activity. Let's start with this one, and let's continue with that. And that will provide us milestones analysis because we need to have that exactly. Right now, I think we start again. Well, right now I'm getting in, but we're starting right now, and we have a lot of very good communication. The concept what um, Mr. Gregory shared, and as well the concept what Anali shared, I didn't think about it. And this is another point of view that is the greatest of this team for me, because we're going to join a lot of, let's say, a lot of forces. Talk about that in a way of thinking. Uh, and that will be, I think, my final contribution around here today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Excellent. So I'll open the floor to anybody who has something to say. But before I do that, let me just say that it is probably good for us to have timelines. Greg wants to meet this week. I'm going to reach out to him. Abayami has volunteered to be the coordinator of all the schemas, wherever it is that you need him to communicate or so on. And he'll be able to bring things like that. And he's brilliant. He can do some fantastic work. Though he's the youngest among us, he's certainly also one of the most brilliant. And he would, I think, this is an opportunity for him also to learn. So let's please be open to nourishing and inspiring him. So I will leave that to you as to, I'll be available to you if you need me to make this communication, to do this or to do that. But more importantly, also to, again, actually create a timeline that we can commit to this work. So we know what we expect last week, this week and next week, and what's coming, and so on and so forth. So I think we should probably be able to begin to set that now. And I know you all are busy and have your work schedule, your normal. And like I said, I really want us to just do this in the background with passion, however. But we should probably just do it structurally as well. Make sure that we have some kind of functionality to structure, timeline, and so on. And so Mr. Sari, as promised, will help with materials and stuff like that. We need to be able to start considering the material, and he's an expert in this area. Also, is going to be able to determine the availability of that material and the ubiquity of that material on the ground, as well as the cost of this material. So again, we can begin to start the cost. And if you guys know how to do a calculation, we can begin to really factor in the cost at this point, right? And everything else that we need. You just let me know where you want me to, which direction you want me to go, what you want me to do, and also what Abayami needs to do. Between you guys, you can commission him to do something, and he probably would do it exactly as you expected, and so on and so forth. Now, as I mentioned, there's probably also some other ideas that we're going to come across. If we need somebody to do research on different architectural cultures, I think if you don't already have that, we can, we could certainly provide that. Just ask, just let me know what you want. So I will coordinate with Greg to see when he's available. He said from Monday this week he's available in New York. I will check his time, and I will check your availability as well. I know that Alonso and Rolando always available, not always, but at least mostly available on weekends, which works. And I'll check with you. So I'll see what the probabilities are. Let me check with Greg and see if he's available during the weekend, and if not, what we could do. So I'll work that out with him, and I'll let you know. But I'll also send you a link to join this new group, because I want this group to really be the really focused group. These are we've gone beyond the ideas now. We are in the practical aspect of this, and we are working on time. So I think really that we've had a very successful meeting today. We've been able to introduce, at least to the architect, some of the artists who were supposed to be here have not been able to make it. But we'll meet them. I'll continue to reach out to them too, because they promised that they were going to be here, but perhaps whatever happens, they're not able to make it. I apologize on their behalf. But again, that's something that I think maybe once we get to that stage, you can begin to have separate meetings with them and so on. But I think this meeting really has been very successful because the idea is really to get familiar with each other. And I see a prospect of strong harmony here, very creative people working together. Let's do this then. I think it's possible for us to do. I'm sure there's going to be challenges, but I want us to be resilient and really make it happen. Okay. So anything that you want of me, I will of course respond. I think Nana Otu is here. Nana, greetings if you're here. We're happy that you're able to make it. We've had a very, very beautiful meeting today. I will be sending the video link to everybody once I've uploaded it. And keep in mind, when I upload this type of video, they're not for public. We don't share them with the public. We just uploaded it to our YouTube portal. And then we share an what do you call it? Unlisted link. So that means it's not something that people can just find randomly. So you can only watch it with this link. So if you want to share with somebody that you want to inform, you can share this link if you want. But most of the things that we talk about is always really intimate between us. Don't forget there are those lurking out there who are just waiting to steal from us. And when they steal, it's not that, we talked about it before, but I also want to tell you that all our meetings are really between us. Like the one we had last week, that was just really between us. So just make sure that we are in a safe arena until we're really ready to go to the public. By the time we're ready to go to the public, I can guarantee you there will be a lot of press conference on this. There's going to be a lot of press interest on this. So I look forward to that. But I want us to be able to, again, be proud of this work. Be proud of this work. I hope really forever. That's because we're opening a new chapter in human development and world civilization. So may God help us achieve it. Thank you very much. Rolando?
Thank you, Wally, for the wrap up of the meeting. As I would like to say, this is going to be a very deep learning process for all of us because we will have to be very, very mind open. We will have to learn the ways of many other people doing things in very different ways. So merging all that stuff together, all those visions is going to be a really challenging process. But as professionals, we understand this will give us a lot of growth in terms of not only as professionals, but as persons. So so be ready because there are going to be parts very entertaining and emotional and stuff, but there are going to be very tough parts of it. So we got to understand it's part of the process. Nothing that is worth is easy. So we're gonna have to be brave. We're gonna have to show all our experience and other ideas and put it all together. And as usual, big projects involving so many people is going to have a very complex management. So don't worry, it's part of the process. We understand it. We have been through that before, many of us. So it's part of being architects, part of being designers. So don't worry about that and focus on the creation, on the ideas, because this is the stage we are working on right now. So later on, it's going to be much more difficult to include those ideas. So and then the technical parts are going to come later. So any idea is going to be useful. There's no small ideas in this project. Everything maybe someone with a different perspective, living in a different country, is going to have the clue to solve an important aspect of the project. So we're going to need each other also. So I invite you to involve in this process in the best way you can, combine it with your own works, with your own family matters. So make a balance. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to know each one of you, because there's a reason why we are all here. There's not only about architecture, it's about humankind, and this is the way we can give something of value to the upcoming generations. So thank you all.
Pleasure meeting everyone today. Look forward to working with you guys all.
Right. I'm glad to have been in the meeting, even though I wasn't able to participate from the get-go today. And also my internet connection has been very poor because I was outside in the main. But I guess when I go through the recordings and so on, we should be able to contribute some more. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I put my the video off because of the internet connection, because it's poor.
All right, so I'll look forward to further information in the WhatsApp chat group. I gotta head out, so I'll talk to you guys all soon.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.